Hey everyone, it's Jason McLaren. This is Leadership Loading. My guest today is Jimmy White IV. He's a Navy veteran and speaker and an operations manager. And him and I connected on LinkedIn. And once I saw his message and what he's doing, I wanted to bring him on, talk a little bit about, character development and finding purposes, and just go from there. So Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it and glad to be on board.
Definitely. So, let's talk about being in the Navy. What led you to join the Navy, and what did you do in the Navy? And
I like to say that I had like this epiphany moment. Was like, yeah, the Navy makes perfect sense for me and joining the military and serving my country. But the honest truth is what happened is that I went to college twice. And after dropping out the second time, my mom kind of cornered me and she's like, look, buddy, you either got two choices. You're either going to go work at McDonald's or you're going to work in the military. I said, well, I guess I can't work at McDonald's because I would eat up all the food and they would fire me. So I guess I'm going into the military. So I went to the Navy recruiter, and lucky enough, I passed the nuclear power exam. And they told me, hey, you can be you pretty much any job that you wanted in the Navy, you could go ahead and have. So decided to be in the nuclear power program, which is a really cool 2-year program that you, in essence, go to school for 2 years before you ever go out to your vessel to train, and you get pretty much a associate's degree in physics by the time you're done. And went through that program. It's pretty awesome. But cool story, when I was signing up for the program, I came home and I talked to my dad. And when the recruiter asked me, like, who was in the military from your family, I told him my uncle. Like, I didn't even think about my own father. And I come home and tell him, say, hey, Dad, I'm going into the nuclear power program. I'm going to go be on aircraft carriers, because in the nuclear power program, you have two choices. You can be on aircraft carriers or you can be on submarines. And my dad's like, nope, you're going to be on a submarine. And that's how my dad talks. And today's actually my dad's birthday, so shout out to my dad for
birthday.
happy birthday, Dad. He's 76 today. So he's an old salty sailor. He was a submariner, and like none of that dawned on me because he never talked about it when I was a kid. So he said, nope, you're going to be on submarines. You're going to be part of the brotherhood, and you're going to be part of the fraternity. And I was like, no, Dad. I want to go on the aircraft carriers because I heard there's a McDonald's on an aircraft carrier, which wasn't true. And there's girls on aircraft carriers, and obviously I like girls. So he was like, nope, you're going to be part of the brotherhood, and you're going to be part of the fraternity, and you're going to be part of the submarine warfare guys. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm going on submarines. So I went into the submarine program, and I remember I graduated nuclear power school. Went to my first sub, the USS Montpelier, and we were going to Halifax, Nova Scotia. And while we were up there, I had a complete brain fart, made a ton of mistakes. And when I got off the submarine, I called my dad. It was the very first time I cursed my dad out. I was like, I can't believe you made me get on this submarine and made me do this stuff. But in actuality, it was the best decision that I ever made. I wound up being Junior Sailor of the Year for my submarine for in Operation Iraqi Freedom. We shot 20 Tomahawk missiles in support of shock and awe in the beginning. And a lot of the skills and character that I needed to build up that I didn't have as a youth before I joined the military, I got it through my time as being a submariner. And it's even to this day, those character traits and things that I learned on the submarine helped and benefit me as a father, as a husband, as a community leader, and as an operation manager.
Definitely. So that kind of leads into my next question. What are you doing now that you're out of the military?
So I did 6 years on the USS, 4 years on the USS Montpelier, 6 years total in the Navy. When I got out, I went into facilities management. A couple people was like, oh, you can do nuclear power. And I was like, I'm tired of nuclear power and all the stringence and how tough it is and how hard it is. I went something that's a little bit easier. So I went into facilities management, and little did I know how stringent facilities management was. Like when you think about it, in managing a building and operations, you think of your old high school a janitor or engineer that went around with a bucket with a hammer in there, and he duct taped everything up. And that was kind of his job. But actually, in the last 20 years, facilities management has transformed into this IoT, building information, engineering, infrastructure, contingency management, high tech industry where I get to now utilize all the skills that I learned as a nuclear electrician, and now I get to apply it to operating some of the one of the biggest, tallest, and most technologically advanced buildings in the nation, which is the Comcast Technology Center in Center City, Philadelphia. So I'm operation manager there. I've been there for about a year and a half. It's been amazing. I'm part of an unbelievable operation team. I like to say that we're the best in the city, probably the best in the nation. Like a who's who of professionals inside of my operations team. So truly blessed and excited to be a part of them. And they've been an amazing team. So I'm really excited to be doing the work that I'm doing now.
Awesome. And I had another Navy veteran on episode 7, Randy
Hey,
Niznik, and he's a facility manager also, and we kind of talk about how the military transitions over. So if you're
yeah,
listening,
it's interesting. Like before, you might not have told somebody that, hey, go into facilities management, it'll be worthwhile. But now I can honestly say that it's an amazing career. There's so many different integrated parts of it, and there's so many booming technologies. I'll give you a perfect example. When I got to the Comcast Technology Center, it was one of the first buildings in the city that had automatic shades. I believe it's the first one that has automatic shades throughout the entire building. So we have radiometers on the roof that track the sun as it goes across the skyline and across the building, and how that solar radiation penetrates inside the building. And the shades operate automatically based off of the position of the sun. And when I got there, a lot of people didn't understand how to use it. So I was able to use, my nuke skills and figure out the programming, figure out how it tracked, figure out the calculations of how everything works. And now I'm kind of like the system matter expert for shades. Somebody the other day called me Slim Shady, and I was like, okay, I think I'm going too far with the shades. But those are the kind of things that I can now tell kids that, hey, you could be doing this computer programming, you could be doing the scheduling, you can be doing these leadership things associated with operating a building, and it's a pretty cool industry to be in now.
definitely, definitely. And you kind of touched on character development. Why is it important to develop that character, especially when you're transitioning and trying to reintegrate into the civilian world?
Definitely. So, like I like to teach character from a professional standpoint and for the people that are underneath me, but also obviously to youth throughout the nation through the Travis Manion Foundation. And the thing I like to say about character is two things. One, character is dynamic. So with it being dynamic, you can show a lot of good character, or you can show a little bit of good character. You can show a lot of bad character, or you can show a little bit of bad character. You have the ability to utilize that character trait a lot or a little bit, and it's a personal thing. So the other thing about character is that character is teachable. I tell a story about when I grew up in South Philadelphia, and an older gentleman came up to me with a pit bull, and he called me the N word, and how he was getting upset with me, and I never met the guy, and he was really out of line. And I asked children, I say, hey, if I met that guy again, what should I do? A lot of times I'm talking in inner cities like Baltimore or Philadelphia. They're like, hey, you from South Philly, you're supposed to be fighting when someone says stuff like that. I said, well, what if I told you that instead of fighting, I would turn around, I would give that guy a hug? And they was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do anything? And I explained to him, I said that character is teachable. So the fact that someone doesn't like me or discriminates against me just because of the color of my skin, that means that they were taught that way. They didn't come out of their parent, their mother womb up here hating me. It was someone that instilled that in him. So if someone could teach somebody bad character, I can come in and I can teach them good character. So I take that from a personal standpoint, social impact standpoint, and then from a professional standpoint. When I see someone acting in a certain type of way with bad character traits, I know they were taught that, and I know that I had the opportunity to step in as a leader and to correct them in a caring, loving way, a positive way, so they can start to begin to show good character, not only in the workplace, but also in their personal life.
Definitely. And I think that's very important, especially for people that have been raised one way, like you said. But I think the military helps us transition. And I was just talking to another guest about, you know, I grew up in Alaska, kind of sheltered, wasn't very popular at school, all that kind of stuff. but
Mm-hmm.
getting thrown into the military and meeting these guys from New York and New Jersey and from all these different, you know, cultures and Italian people, how Italian
Right.
guys are just
Yeah,
really
it is
boisterous,
vice
and
versa.
you know
Mm-hmm.
and I was in charge of supervising this guy, and he's more boisterous and more energetic than me, and
Right.
having to this, and he's only 3 years younger than me, and I'm supervising him,
Mm-hmm.
so
I understand completely. I had to deal with that. First getting on a submarine. There's only a couple of African Americans on a submarine, and then having someone take me under my wing. And when I got into the on my submarine, I kind of had a chip on my shoulder. Not because anybody like did anything wrong with me, but I felt as though I had something to prove, and sometimes it came out nasty instead of coming out as collaborative. And someone pulled me aside, and I was like, I was go 100% all the time. Like, and if someone wasn't doing their job properly or didn't finish up, like I was ready to like fisticuffs because someone else, like I'm going 100% and you're going 25%. Like, what's going on here? I don't understand. It doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. And finally, one of my chief, Al Coleman, pulled me aside, and we had an emergency happen on the submarine, something really bad. I don't want to talk about it, but something bad happened, and he's cool, calm, collect, passing out orders, telling people what to do, and I'm the complete opposite. I'm completely on fire, screaming and hollering like, "This needs to get done. We about to die. Hurry up and get this done." And finally, I pulled him aside, and I was like, "Yo, ow!" Like, how are you not like on fire right now? Like, how are you like calm and collected? How are you doing this? And he's like, Jimmy, I've been doing this for a number of years. I've seen everything that could possibly happen on this submarine. I know how to recover. I know all the immediate actions. I know all the technical stuff. He said, guess what? I know you know them too because I taught them all to you. So why don't you just relax, let your training take over, calm yourself down and begin to be more collaborative and be more of part of the team than someone that's coming in trying to be the savior. And it was like that gotcha moment. It was like, man, like I don't have to be this over the top South Philly tough kid screaming and hollering. I can be a collaborative leader as part of a team. And I began to see how much better people started to interact with me, and also how we was more productive because of it. So it was pretty cool experience, being on the sub and being in the military. And again, it was the best thing for me at the time.
yeah, you talk about your training kicking in, and I think that's just part of leadership, developing that.
Right.
you know your training takes over, and you're able to do things, and you're not second guessing yourself, and that's what your leader was saying there. It's like, don't second guess yourself, and then you're pigeonholing yourself. So
Yeah, definitely. I like to call it, I don't know if you ever got a chance to read any of Jocko's and Leif Babin's books, but they have, extreme ownership and dichotomy of leadership. And in dichotomy of leadership, it talks about leading from the front, being a leader in setting the example by stepping up and being that person, but then also understanding the dichotomy of taking a step back and allowing somebody else to step up and be collaborative as part of a team. And that was one of the big things I learned in the military. Like, I don't have to be the point guy all the time. I don't have to be the one running into the fire. That one of my nicknames was Captain DC, damage control, because every time I heard a siren or something go off, I'm jumping out of the rack. I'm fully doing, and I'm in front of the fire like this, and everybody's like, "Jimmy, calm down. It's just a dryer fire. It's not. It's not the whole sub burning down." I had to learn how to take a step back and be more collaborative as part of my team.
definitely, definitely. So let's talk about Travis Manion Foundation. What do you do with them?
So it's interesting. Travis Manion Foundation is a veteran service organization. It empowers veterans and survivors, Gold Star family members, to encourage character in the future leaders of America, which is our youth. And in 2017, I was running a major facilities department for a corporate 500, a Fortune 500 company. Lots of employees, lots of vendors, lots of things going on. Just didn't have time. And when I got out of the military, I wasn't this character guy. I was I was kind of bitter. I just came out of, we were still in the Iraq War and Afghanistan War. I kind of felt like I was leaving my team, leaving the military, and I just had a chip on my shoulder, and it carried over to my civilian life. And I didn't talk about my military service. My father didn't talk about his military when he was a submariner either. So I thought that's what you weren't supposed to do. And I was kind of came home and I was disassociated with everybody. Just a chip on the shoulder. Shout out to my wife because she tolerated me through that phase. But for a good 10 years after I got out of the military, all I did was my career, which worked out career wise because I advanced to senior leadership. But from a personal standpoint, I had absolutely no fulfillment. It was like this big hole in my chest of a purpose that I just could not find and I couldn't be attached to. It was great having the house, the cars, and the money, but it was horrible because I felt like I wasn't in part of a community that I was when I was on my sub. So 2017, Joe Lemma, who's a painting contractor for the company that I was working with, and also Travis's uncle, gave me a book about him and his best friend's Brandon Looney's life called Brothers Forever. An amazing book. I recommend anybody going out to get it. You can get it from the Travis Manion website, or you can get it from Amazon. But it explains his mantra, which was, if not me, then who? And I'm reading the book, and as soon as I got to that line, if not me, then who, it like clicked, because that was like me. That was me doing my military service. That was me with my family. That was me on the job. If someone else wasn't going to step up and take care of it, I was going to step up. I was not going to let it fall. I was not going to let it fail. If not me, then who? I'm always going to step up and take that role that I need to take to make sure that the whole entire team is successful. And super busy at the time, a lot of stuff going on, 2 kids, wife, and everything else. And the Monday after I read the book, I called up Joe and I said, "Hey, buddy, sign me up." And he's like, "You can't do it. You're too busy. You got all this other stuff going on. There's no way you can do this." I was like, "I don't care. I'm hooked. I'm in. Sign me up." So from 2017 to currently, every chance I get, every opportunity I get, I take advantage of it, try to do presentations for youth all across the U.S. I've done it up and down the East Coast. The program that the Travis Manion Foundation has right now is their Character Does Matter program. With this Character Isn't Cancel initiative with the pandemic going on right now, where we actually took the Character Does Matter program, which is typically in-person presentation, PowerPoint about character, leadership, development, and exercises associated with it, with a call to action at the end of it. We transitioned it to a virtual setup through Facebook Live. So through Facebook Live, there's been tens of thousands of kids across the U.S. that have met veteran mentors and survivor mentors like me, talking about character and leadership, and why it's still important that even though school is out right now, for you to learn these character traits, and you can utilize them to be the future leaders of our nation. Who better to talk about character, leadership, personal development than veterans and survivors who have paid, pretty much the ultimate sacrifice to learn those character traits. And the fact that we can go out and talk to children about it, it relates. Children are the most genuine lie detectors. Like, they can detect a false story, before it even begins. So when someone can come with an authentic story about their character and leadership that they learned through the trials and tribulations of being part of the military, they sink their teeth into it. And you can definitely see the change. You can see that dynamic part of their character. And at the end, typically they do some type of call to action. They do some type of service. Right now I'm doing a really cool project with the Northeast region of the Travis Manion Foundation, where I put out a message saying, "Hey, I have some veterans in the region that have lost their jobs and in transition homes that need supplies and support." And just in the last 24 hours, we've already collected over $1,000 to buy supplies and toilet paper, tissues, and foods for these families. So it speaks to being part of a team, not just in your professional life, but also in your personal life. And that sense of community that I lost when I was in the submarine, hey, I got it back through the Travis Manion Foundation. So it's been an amazing experience. Anybody that's interested in hearing more about it, go to travismanion.org or go to the Facebook page. And every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a veteran like myself will be presenting a character trait to children all across the nation. So if you're at home with your kid and you need something to do for 20 to 40 minutes, I guarantee they'll be captivated for the entire time, and they'll learn a little bit about leadership and character at the same time too.
Definitely, that's awesome. I've heard of the Travis Manion Foundation. I haven't done a whole bunch with them, but I'll have to check it out some more.
You'd be perfect for it, bro.
Thanks. And you talked about, that kind of all goes back to what you were saying earlier about the catastrophes and veterans, and we've trained for this. We've
You
planned
got
for
it.
things like this, so we're the perfect people right now to be reaching out and doing these sorts of things and getting in front of these people that don't. And that's why, I'm an emergency management guy, and so I use my background, and that's why I started a second podcast, because I had all these people calling me, "What do I do? What do I do?" I
Right.
said, "Well, I'm just going to put it out there, and it's a really short format podcast. I don't edit. I just
Mhm.
basically live stream it onto my phone, post it.
That's
Because
awesome.
I'm just trying to get the information out there and
Yeah.
get these people calmed down."
Yeah. See, and that's the thing about character. I like to say that you always have to put your character in action. Like once you learn a character trait and you learn about it and it's instilled in you, it has no choice but to come out. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to come out when you're in that stress, distress environment, where situations like right now, where people are mentally and physically frustrated right now with the pandemic. Me as a Submariner, we want to talk about isolation. Let's talk about 3 or 4 months underwater with no sunlight, with a bunch of other smelly Submariners. Like those are the type of character things that I learned. That now that I'm in this type of environment, dealing with what I'm dealing with, I'm learning to have restraint. I'm learning to have humility. I'm learning to appreciate even the beauty of the fact that I have this isolation time and I get to have more time with my amazing wife and my kids. So it's you begin to start to appreciate that, and that's what it takes. Being a leader. Not just a leader professionally, but also a leader in your own home. You have to be that common spirit, but in the same breath, you also have to have that dichotomy. You got to be able to be vulnerable and be upfront and honest with your family. So just right now it's a time for character to be put into action. So it's definitely a way. So the way you're doing it is amazing, and I hope some other people can maybe help out with the Travis Manion Foundation and show their character in action that way too.
Awesome. Well, Jimmy, let's close it out. How can we get a hold of you if someone wants to reach out to you?
Me, I'm on all the social media platforms. I like to tell the kids I'm on the Snappy Chat and the Tickety Talk and the book that has faces and links that's got and the Instagram on. So I'm on everything. Pretty much all my tags are Jimmy White IV, Jimmy White the fourth. My son is the fifth, and if he doesn't have a six, he gets disowned. LinkedIn is an amazing way. Some of the coolest projects that I've been a part of have been through my connections on LinkedIn. If you go to my LinkedIn profile right now, there's an article about in the Philadelphia Inquirer about the Character Does Matter program and a profile on some of the work that I've been doing there. So yeah, just connect. I'm always looking to reach out, looking to be a help and support, and keep on spreading the mantra, if not me, the who.
Definitely. Well, thanks for coming on, Jimmy. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with everybody.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate the support, man.